everyone. How's it going? I hope you're all having a really good week. Thanks for being here again with me, supporting me, reminding me that what I'm doing is important and valuable and helpful in all these amazing ways. I have to share that I have so much gratitude. I talk about it's important to really identify the things on a daily basis that we have gratitude for because it's easy to take things for granted, take people for granted. And I have to say, I have so much gratitude today coming out of a course I'm just enrolled in for 6 months, an IFS course, and it's called Internal Family Systems. And maybe some of you are familiar with it, but it is the first time in over 2 decades of practicing that I learn, or I'm in the process of learning, a treatment modality to help people heal, support them in unburdening themselves and feeling more self-love and being able to give more love to others in this beautiful way. It's just such a powerful healing modality that I am thrilled to have found. And there's a calling in me, a deep calling in me to learn it, learn the depth of, and breadth of it. And this is now the third week into this program. I'm doing it in addition to everything else that I do. It's for practitioners that are already licensed. So they make it really accessible to us so that we can keep doing what we do, but also learn the way to engage our clients in this healing treatment that is so incredibly powerful. So I'm really excited about learning it. I'm excited to bring it to you to increase people's awareness about it. Maybe it will hit you in a way that feels like a pull to learn more. Maybe you'll find a practitioner that can provide you with an opportunity to really delve into the deeper parts of ourselves. The really kind of can be scary, can be shameful, those parts of ourselves that live within us. To get in there, we work really hard to push that stuff away, push it down, and function day to day successfully, but they're in there. And if we don't attend to those little people in there that we've been carrying along with us for a long time, they're usually pretty young, they act out unconsciously, and they're doing things without us really even noticing because they have needs that were not attended to, and they want to be seen. And I know it sounds hokey pokey and a little odd, but if you know anything about me, I'm not a very woo-woo practitioner, but this is powerful and something really to consider. So if this is getting you curious about it, feel free to search IFS, learn more about it. I'm sure I will weave it into the work that I do. So stay tuned for more on that. But that's my gratitude for today. One, I'm grateful for you all. And two, I'm so grateful to have found another treatment that I can learn about and bring to you that feels really right now. So so thanks for listening to that. And here we go. I'm going to talk about my topic. I'm talking more about sex these days because that's what people want more of from me. So I'm going to show up with as much information that I can impart that may enhance your sex lives, help you feel more sexual, more excited, more confident. And today we're going to cover exploring BDSM, a complete guide to fetishes and kinks. BDSM can look incredibly sexy and mysterious from afar, with aesthetic overtones of black leather and gleaming latex. It can also feel really intimidating. I mean, I definitely am still like, wow, it's fun to really be researching all of this because I'm learning so much more about it. But definitely can be intimidating. It can feel tricky to find a foothold to get started or feel comfortable exploring. And it doesn't need to be. And I'm learning that myself through this process of gathering information for you all. So today I want to share a guide with you on how to actually delve in and explore. So what is BDSM actually? At its most basic, BDSM is about consensual exchange of power. By mutual agreement, one person takes on power over the other person, or a more dominant role, and the other person agrees to give up a limited amount of power for a period of time or take on a submissive role. People might agree to a power exchange for an hour or an evening or for the duration of the relationship. Within the confines of an agreed upon power exchange, people in a BDSM relationship or encounter might do a wide range of activities with each other, from the more traditionally sexual to activities centered purely around a dominance and submission. kind of activity where there's extreme sensation that aren't necessarily traditionally sexual or any combination of these altogether. What do people actually do when they practice BDSM? Generally, everything within a BDSM or kink context occurs within the context of power exchange or a dynamic of dominance and submission. A couple might have completely regular sex, but with a power dynamic included, or they might do a range of other activities that they agree upon. This is really limited only by what both people are into, from elaborate role playing to pet play to boot blacking and leather fetishism. But there are some broad dynamics that are really popular. Bondage and restraint. For many people, the helplessness of being tied up or restrained is very appealing, or the feeling of power that comes from having somebody else restrained. This could look like rope or shibari, cuffs, bondage, tape, or a harness designed specifically for restraint. For people really interested in bondage, being restrained in a complex rope, like the way they tie them so beautifully, actually, it's like a work of art. It takes a talent rope rigger to a deeply fulfilling experience, even if no one has an orgasm or any genital contact. It's creative, it's connective, and there's a deep experience to be had. I can tell you that I've had clients in the past that are like running companies, for example, that are in charge in every way in their day to day. And then in the bedroom, they don't want to be in charge anymore. They would love to be submissive. They would love somebody else to take charge and maybe tie them up or give them demands, that kind of thing. So it's something to play with for sure. Discipline and punishment. Many people, even if they don't consider themselves practitioners of BDSM, find the idea of being in trouble for misbehaving or rewarded for good behavior incredibly erotically charged. For some people, it's about working hard to meet the exacting standards of their dominant partner and feeling satisfied by doing a really good job. Other people might get off on deliberately misbehaving or being bad because they enjoy being punished. This could look like being spanked, chastised, being ignored or deprived of something, or otherwise made to be contrite. This could also involve role play around traditional positions of power like teacher, governess, boss, police officer, and there's just so many more. Sadism and masochism. Even outside of a BDSM context, intense or extreme sensations that would feel unpleasant in other contexts can feel good during sex. Think about a partner grabbing you roughly or biting you. For people into sadomasochism, this is even truer. Masochists seek out intentionally painful sensations that would normally be undesirable, and sadists are fulfilling or feeling fulfilled by inflicting it. Whereas activities like impact play, spanking, or paddling might be appealing for some people because of their symbolic association with discipline and punishment. And masochists and sadists might be more into activities like caning that are focused around extreme sensation. Degradation and humiliation. For some people, being treated in a way that's degrading or humiliating by someone they know ultimately cares for them and respects them is a major turn on. Imagine the pleasant embarrassment of being lightly, affectionately teased by your crush times 100. Safety first. This is really important. Establishing enthusiastic mutual consent is key for any sexual dynamic, and the unique characteristics of BDSM dynamics mean it's even more important to be really clear on what you and your partner both want and don't want. Using something like a yes, no, maybe list can be helpful. And I've talked about that previously, so you can search for a video or articles I've written around it. But there's a lot of room for latitude and flexibility within different activities, but you got to communicate. Talking about it specifically turns you on and what your limits are. Do you want to be spanked firmly and gently with a bare hand? Or do you like impact play hard enough to bruise with an implement? That's really crucial. That understanding is important. If someone is into humiliation or degradation, it's important to manage emotional and psychological safety by talking about what specifically they like hearing or don't and where their limits are. Using a safe word or a stoplight system where someone can use code words like green, yellow, or red to communicate their level of comfort with what's currently happening for them can be helpful if you're playing with any consensual non-consent or would just benefit from a safety valve to pull and know that it will pause the scene immediately. We need to have safety in these scenarios and situations in order to really allow ourselves to let go, surrender, and really be in the moment. Like all physical activities, there's no perfect guarantee of safety, physical or emotional, when practicing BDSM. Many people prefer to specify that they practice RACK, which is risk aware consensual kink, for this reason. For some activities like intermediate to advanced rope restraints or heavy impact, consent should be supplemented with basic safety awareness. It's a good idea to take a basic first aid course if possible, and keep basic first aid supplies in the house or wherever you're engaging in play. If you're interested in heavier play or activities that require more specialized knowledge and maybe less safe if executed improperly, taking an in-person class from an experienced player is always a good idea. And on my podcast, Love, Laughs, and Lessons, we will sometimes have experts on. Like I recently had somebody on maybe a couple months ago that talked about shibari and rope, all the intricate ways to tie somebody up. And I know that they meet people virtually all over the country. There's a lot of support out there, and it's growing more and more as we are becoming, this whole area is becoming less stigmatized. Thank God. So how to start exploring BDSM in a relationship. If you're already in a relationship and you're interested in incorporating these elements of BDSM for the first time, the first step, of course, is communication. Like I always say, communicate, communicate, communicate. Ask your partner about their thoughts, their feelings on kink, and offer to share any specific fantasies you think you might want to realize someday with them. Explore what dynamics and activities feel interesting to both of you, and look for where there feels like meaningful overlap, which may not be a perfect Venn diagram circle. Using something like that yes, no, maybe list that I'm talking about can be helpful in getting on the same page. If you're interested in trying out your fantasies in the bedroom, there's no need to launch into a full 50 Shades scene immediately. Try experimenting with same activities you usually enjoy together, but with a power dynamic. For example, being told to do something or punished for not doing it, and see how it feels to you. How does that land? Does it turn you on? Is there something about it that gives you an ick reaction, or you're repulsed in some way? Just notice and communicate. It's easy and safe to try some light impact play with your hands or incorporating some role play across the power differential. I also will have lots of resources below today's topic, so you can always further delve in, and you can do your own searches. And just have fun, explore, and know that sensuality, sexuality, desire, there's such a range, right? And we're all different. There's not a one size fits all. So whatever you desire, what you're curious about, lean into it. There's nothing wrong. Just be you, love yourself, accept yourself. We're all just trying to figure out what works for us. And what works for us today may not work for us tomorrow, and that's okay too. So things can change. Oh my gosh, love you all. Kisses, hugs. I'll see you all next week.